Guys, for your patience. I apologize for the little bit of snafu. All right. Let me view this on YouTube so I can give you guys a link. That's always helpful. Oh, here we go. So in the chat here, Donna, I am going to give you here in chat the link to YouTube. So if you can share that in the circle announcement and inside the room so everybody knows that we have moved to StreamYard. So you guys can stream it either on YouTube or Donna, if you post that YouTube link inside Circle, then they can view it in Circle. So that should work. Let me know as you guys get over to YouTube. Okay. All right. So just a little excitement to get things started today. Circle not letting me do what I want to do. I apologize, but we know how to pivot over here. So I'm just giving you guys a few minutes to join me in YouTube and in Circle. So Donna, okay. I think that will do that you sent Donna was you saying that you're going to share the YouTube link so people can watch me work live. I'm not going to close the live stream in Circle yet until you confirm for me that that worked and that you can see me in YouTube. And then I'll shut this room down. So, Tamara. Thank you, Tamara. I see Tamara's in. Woohoo! We're cooking with gas. All right. So I'm just giving folks a little bit of time to make it over here. And thank goodness for technological backups. Yes, I shared as a comment on live. Thank you, Donna. You rock so hard. Can you believe I was just at Circle office hours yesterday? You wait until I get back in here. Okay, so we had about 9 people in, and I see 3 of us have made it over here. So I'm just going to wait a couple more minutes, and then I'm going to get going. But I just want to make sure that we're going to have a recording for this. Circle doesn't know what's coming from. They really don't. They have no idea what's about to come for them. So I'm just going to wait a couple more minutes, but I want to be respectful of everyone's time. And in the announcement I made yesterday, I made a bold comment that I could get all of these things done in less than 45 minutes. So I'm going to get going at 1:15 so that I could prove that I could do it in 45 minutes. That is one of the things that hangs me up as a podcaster. Okay, Gino got me in YouTube. Pauline, see you in YouTube. Awesome. Thank you, guys. Okay, so I'm going to ignore Circle over here, and I'm going back to StreamYard, and we're going to get started. Thank you so much for moving with us. So I missed all your delicious comments while I was going through technology purgatory, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to share my screen with you, I hope, and I'm going to show you how I actually put together a podcast episode that I would have normally published yesterday, but I'm going to publish it today. So let's see here. I want to present my screen. La, la, la. I want you to see the entire screen that's over here. Share. Okay, whoops. Lord in the morning. Okay, I need to set one thing up here. Sorry, y'all. I wasn't set up to do it over here, so it needs some permissions. Chrome does to share my screen. La 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 la. Okay, check Google Chrome. Oh, I hadn't given permission for Google Chrome to open my system settings. Oh, okay, there we go. This is Going to be an amazing session. I can tell by all the technological issues we're having that it's going to be fire in the hole. That's just all there is to it. So now share my screen, please. StreamYard. I don't want to do that. Let's see. I'm going to pull this into a different window here. I don't know why technology is messing with me today, y'all. I really just don't know why. I'm going to okay. Let me know. So now this is not working either. It's telling me I have to restart Google Chrome. I am not amused, y'all. This is what not amused looks like. I did not know why it's telling me I need to restart Google Chrome. Lord in the morning to record my screen. Well, I so apologize. This is not ideal. It's kind of ridiculous. That song I was singing, I don't know. It's just a song I sing all the time. It's like an earworm. I just cannot believe it's not letting me show you my screen. I'm really annoyed here, like more annoyed than I have ever been. Oh, okay. Do you guys see that? Do you see my screen now? I just need a quick yes if you see my screen. Perfect Strangers. I know that show, Yvette, so I just want you to know. I know that. Do you guys see my screen now? Yes, praise the Lord. Okay, so the first tool that we're going to use is called Cast Magic. Now, I'm actually in a podcast mastermind, and we all started a couple of months ago testing all the different tools that you could use to create podcast assets. So we looked at Capsho, we looked at Swell, we looked at Podium, we looked at, gosh, I can't even remember them all, Melville. We looked at a lot because we're just that nerdy. And I settled on Cast Magic because it's a great combination of some of the similar stuff that all those other tools do, plus it has some Chat GPT stuff built right into it. So all I do here, yes, I'm going to give you a link for Cast Magic, but all I do here is I click to upload my file, and then I just grab the MP3 file from my hard drive, click open, and then it says to me, okay, so what episode number is this? It gives it a random title, which is fine because I'm not going to put this title anywhere else. English speakers expected. So it's going to expect me, but there's also going to be another speaker in here named, oops. So there's two speakers. Then here I can tell it if there are any keywords. They call them magic words, but if there are keywords for this episode to kind of give it an idea what it's about, you want to add those here. So I'm going to give it two keywords because what we're talking about is financial confidence. And then I'm going to say personal finance for women. And then oddly enough, I'm going to say single women and divorce. I know that's weird, but when we look at the episode, you're going to be like, okay, what's that about? So I uploaded the file. Now, what I'll tell you is if this was a video from YouTube, I could have uploaded the video from YouTube as well. I'm not doing video yet for my podcast, so I'm always going to upload an audio file. So what Cast Magic is doing right now is it's out processing my file. You see how long that took? Not long at all. So now I have a new transcript. So if I click on this, here is my transcript. Now, can you guys see that, or should I make the screen just a little bit bigger? Let me know if you need me to make that bigger. So this is the full transcript of my 40-minute episode. Now, all I'm going to do here is I'm going to go in and match the speakers. So I'm looking here, and this is a lot. So this is me doing the intro. Okay, so speaker A is me. So I click here, and I'm going to click myself as speaker A. So you see that adjusted, and then click here, speaker B. I'm going to have to add a new speaker because I have never done a show with Patty before. So her name is Patty Handy, and she's not a host. She's a guest. Save her as a speaker. Okay, so now you'll see automatically in my transcript, all the places where I'm talking now have my name, and then all the places that have Patty talking now have her name. Okay, so my transcript done, right? That was the first thing I said I was going to do in my workflow, create an episode transcript. But for right now, I'm going to ignore the transcript and I'm going to click this button that says AI content. Now, what Cast Magic is doing is it's taking the transcript and it's taking the keywords that I gave it and it's creating all these assets. So now you know why I could be so bold as to say, I'm going to have all this stuff done in 45 minutes because Cast Magic's doing the heavy lifting. Okay, so they're experiencing delays. A lot of people are doing their episodes. That's okay. But I can see right now the process it's making as it's generating. So it's coming up with suggested titles. It's coming up with keywords. It created a quick bio for my guest. Are you guys getting excited about this? It's creating an intro for my show. It's giving me time-stamped overview. You can see this is still generating. It's generating. It has already generated questions and answers. So as I continue to scroll down here, all of these assets are being created for me based off of my episode transcript, key topics and bullets. Clip Finder. So when you go through, if you go through, which I do, because when I'm sharing to social, I'll share like an audiogram or a quote graphic of my speaker, of my guest rather, because I want to publicize them for having been on my show, right? It's a really easy tip for getting guests on your show to promote it, promote them and promote what they said on your episode. So this comes up with quotes, hooks, timestamps, all that good stuff. It even created a script if I wanted to create a reel. I see you, Donna, talking about heck yeah, how excited you are. What? It is kind of magic, right? So it created my reel script. It created a LinkedIn post. Hold your breath here because here comes the newsletter. So I could email out my list, which I do when I publish an episode. It even created a tweet thread. Okay, getting excited. So this is how I'm able to create so many more assets than what I was doing before. Now, as we get down here to the bottom, this is part of the magic of Cast Magic. Sorry, that's such a cheesy thing to say, but I do want to make sure that you notice. There is a feature here called Magic Chat, which in essence is ChatGPT built into the tool. So I can go through, which I did, and click on Magic Chat, and I can ask a question, and ChatGPT is going to use my transcript to answer the question. So I went in after a previous episode and said, you know what? I want you to help me write the SEO meta description for my blog post, because for each episode I publish, I put show notes, much richer show notes than I used to do, but I put show notes inside my podcast host, but I also create a completely separate blog post on my website that covers my episode. And then I'll also create a separate page that is just the transcript. Now, you might be saying, that sounds like a lot of work, Allegra. Yeah, I reckon it could be if I was trying to do it all myself, but I don't, so it's easy. So down here, I created SEO description, and I said to it, please create an SEO optimized description for the top 2 keywords. And then I told it how many characters it should be. And then I saved that prompt. So every time I create a new podcast episode here in Cast Magic, it automatically creates these things that I specifically asked for. So I get an SEO description. I get the social media description, because guess what? I use that in the back end of my website so that if someone shares from my website, I'm controlling the information that is shared. So I created a saved prompt for an SEO description, my social media description, my guest thank you. If you guys have guests on your episode, do you thank them after they appear? I hope so. And I've made it super easy for myself because I get a head start here. So this is another one of my saved prompts where I'll get a guest thank you. So it puts together an email, and I could send that over to my guest. It has automatically come up with discussion questions. This is called standard show notes. So I have a specific pattern, right? I have an intro, I have main talking points. So what I did was in the Magic Chat window, I said, create show notes for me, but this is how I want them to be formatted. This is what I want them to include. So I saved that prompt. So now every time I create a podcast episode, it creates what I call standard show notes in my desired format, right? So I said first thing I did was create an episode, and then I said I wanted to create title and episode description. So let's start there. I'm scrolling back up here to my titles. So this episode with my guest was about Patty Handy is a financial coach. I think that's what she called herself, a finance coach. And she works with women who have been divorced, widowed, or they're single, and they are nervous about how they manage their money. She spent a long time as a financial planner. She used to work in mortgage brokering rather. She used to have a lot of different financial services businesses and now is a coach. My podcast is all about confidence. So we talked about financial confidence. So Cast Magic has said, okay, I read your podcast transcript and here's what I think your episode might be about. So I can't remember the name, but somebody in the announcement in the community yesterday said, how did I make sure that the information I got back, that the assets I got from AI fit me? This is how. So I'm looking at these titles and I'm going to go through and think, okay, which one of them do I kind of like? And I always start at the bottom and work up. It's an old proofreading tip. I don't know why I was just explaining what I'm about to do. So the power of self-care and final decision making. No, that ain't it. Financial coaching and education, unpacking the road to confidence. I understand why it suggested that, but again, that ain't it. Finding your financial voice, tips for effective communication. Nope, because we didn't talk about communication, right? So some of these aren't dead on. Simplifying financial jargon. Guess what? This one is hot because that is what she talked about. She gave people tips like if you're working with a financial planner and you don't understand what they're talking about, it's not okay to just nod and do what they said. You need to you need to be in a relationship with someone who you understand what they're talking about. So actually number 7 is pretty good. Breaking down financial barriers, insights on education and coaching for women. That's pretty good too, kind of close. From fear to confidence, Patty Handy shares keys to financial empowerment on your confident self. Okay, that one's kind of hot. So 7, 6, 5, those are all looking much better. Building financial confidence, exploring money management, importance of, okay, that's not it. How to overcome financial overwhelm and find confidence. Yeah, close, but not it. Empowering women through financial education. Okay, so I would say of these 10, 6 of them are workable. So how do I figure out which one I want to use? I use another tool. All of these tools are optional. You guys know that. But I would take one of these that I think, okay, I think that might be pretty cool. So I'm going to take this one right here and I'm going to copy that. There's another tool I use. It's called Headline Studio. Yes, I'm going to give you the link. What I like about Headline Studio is I can put the headline in here that I'm thinking about using, and then I analyze it. So it's going to go out there. Now, Headline Studio is made by the folks who produce CoSchedule. I'm not sure if you're familiar with that, but it's like they've been around a long time, social media tool, and they have lots of different tools that help you share on social, help you market on social. They just have a lot of different tools, but I happen to like this one because what it does is it tests your headline based on several different factors to figure out how likely someone is to click on it. Now, I know there's a difference between kind of SEO inside your podcast apps and Google SEO. And the reason why I like this one is because this one is not necessarily Google SEO specific. It does work, but this one is all about making people click. And that's what people do inside a podcast app. So if they put in financial jargon, for instance, inside their podcast app, and I had made this my title, this is what's going to pop up. So I thought, okay, this is a decent title. What about that one? And it gave me a 64. I've never gotten 100, but I usually get in the high 70s or 80s. So this one isn't awesome right out of the gate. So then I come back over here to Cast Magic and I pick a different one. So let's say building financial confidence. How about that? And I'm just going to say exploring money management and coaching because Patty Handy's name is not likely to come up unless she's famous and I don't know it. So I'm going to put that in there. Building financial confidence, exploring money management, and I'm going to say finance coaching. Okay. And then I'm going to analyze that one. Okay. So that one's a 69. So over here, I have a running history of both the headlines I have tested and their scores. So this one's a little bit better, right? But what you might not notice is my headline score is 79, but my SEO score is 70. Now, my SEO score is an actual Google SEO score. So the keywords that it's basing the score on are money management, finance coaching, and financial confidence. So guess what? Finance coaching and money management, I didn't know this because I don't talk about this normally. Those are really good keywords. So I'm going to continue to play with this headline until my headline score is as high as my SEO score. I thought it was me. You're still seeing Cast Magic, not the other tab. Oh, poo. Sorry. Okay, now are you seeing the headline tab? Thank you. That's because StreamYard was being weird. So now you should see Headline Studio. Donna just needs a big sign to wave at me. So this is Headline Studio. So what I did was I pasted in this first headline here, and it gave me a score of 64. So then I pasted in this second one, and now I have a headline score of 69 and a Google score of 70. Okay. So they have a new tool which they just rolled out called Headline AI. So I can go over here to Headline AI and I can just click one of these suggestions. What are alternative ways to write my headline, or what are ways to make it more compelling? How can I write my headline with a different headline type? I'm going to say, what are alternative ways I can write my headline? I could say whatever I want, but I just picked one of their prompts. Oh, my headline's too long and lacks excitement. Here's why I like this. I want a good title because good is always better than clever. When I first started podcasting, I would come up with a title that I thought was so witty. But guess what? People were never searching for my witty titles. They want to search for what they want to search for. So now I'm much more interested in a title that is explaining what the episode is about and enticing somebody to listen. So what I love is this real language feedback here, because there's a lot of headline tools, but some of them are so complicated, I don't know what it is that they want me to change. So this is saying my headline's too long and it lacks excitement. It should grab the reader's attention. So then what does it do? It gives me some suggested titles instead that incorporate the advice it gave me. Shazam. So I'm going to look at these. Get your finances in order and boost your confidence. Building financial confidence, the proven coaching techniques and money strategies you need. Sometimes I look at these other titles and I'm like, well, that doesn't sound like me, but I want to be more effective and not necessarily have the title sound exactly like me, because where I make sure it sounds like me is in the body of the blog post and in the body of the show notes. So I'm looking at these. Unlock financial confidence, the comprehensive guide. Empower your future, how expert coaching and money management can build your confidence. Okay, I like that. So I'm going to click right here and I'm going to test that one. I have no idea what's going to happen. Let's find out together, shall we, class? Okay, so my headline score went down. So this one's not going to look. Okay, how fun is that? So the headline it gave me, the suggestion it gave me, scored lower than the one I had before. So I'm going to click back here on the one I was using before. I'm going to go back to Headline AI, and I'm not going to yell at it. I'm just going to say, yeah, that didn't work so well. Let me test another one of these. Take control of your finances, ultimate guide to mastering money. Money management made easy. Unlock your fun. Okay, so this is probably one I would pick, but I think that one's probably not sexy. So I'm going to say this. Discover the secrets to building confidence, financial confidence. I'm going to try this one because I know secrets is one of those words that people like. So that you'll notice my headline score is better than the one at 61, but I'm really going to be interested. Okay, so my SE score is 71 now. So what I'm going to do, which I'm not going to spend a super ton of time doing right now, what I would do in regular life, if I wasn't looking at the clock, I would continue to play with this one until my score got up to at least 70. So discover the secrets to building finance with personalized finance coaching. So I might say with, I don't know if critical is the right word. So I'm going to play with this later. But what I'm going to do is so that boosted it from 65 to 67. So as I make tiny tweaks here, because I've done this a lot, I can get this score up to 70. I make sure both of them are green before I move forward with the episode title. Now, the reason why I'm monkeying around with the title is I'm going to use that title in my show notes and I'm going to use it on my blog post. Okay, so I'm going back to Cast Magic for a moment and I'm going to come back over here and share this tab. So you should be seeing Cast Magic again. So I've completed the first 3 steps of my workflow. I created the transcript, I created the title. So now I want to look at the episode description. So down here in Cast Magic, they have something that they're calling the introduction. This is what I use inside my podcast host as my episode description, because it talks about how on this episode I had the pleasure of welcoming Patty Handy, a certified executive coach, blah, 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 talks about her. But what it also does is it talks about what she offered. She offered practical tips. She shared her personal journey. Throughout the episode, we talked about self-care, trusting your intuitions. So this is a nice little episode description that I can put inside the podcast player. So if my title sparked their interest and then they click on the title in Apple Podcasts, for instance, to see what the episode is about, then they can see this full thing and they're like, yep, that's what I want. I'm going to listen, because that's what my episode description is about, enticing them to listen. I don't have to tell them everything that we talked about in the episode, right? So then I think to myself, okay, so what do I want my show notes to be? Lots of people inside podcast apps just have a timestamp. I tend not to do that. So remember when I said I use Magic Chat to create show notes instead? So I'm going to peek at the chat in just a minute because I see some things flowing through there. I'm going to scroll back down to where I created what I called my standard show notes. I think it's all the way at the bottom. There. So this is what I'm going to use. So I'm going to use that intro portion for my episode description, and then my show notes inside my podcast app are going to look similar to this. Now, I'm going to copy all this content and put it in a text editor or in a page document. I'm going to put it in something else because I can't actually edit it here. So I think one of the things that we need to think about when we're working with AI is it saved me so much time in that it drafted all these things, but I'm never going to cut and paste this and use this exactly somewhere else, because this is where I flow all my Allegra frosting all over this so that it's legitimately my cake, right? So it started off with, in this episode of Your Confident Self, host Allegra's and Claire interviews. Yeah, that's okay. But I'm going to tweak that so that it sounds more like me. Patty shares her insights on empowering women. So what I know is that Patty demystified finance for women. So I'm going to change that. Instead of saying Patty shared her insights, I'm going to say, because that's the way I talk, Patty demystified finances for women in the middle of their finance journey, right? So I'm going to go through this and I'm going to tweak it so it most accurately represents what we talked about. And so it sounds like me while still being intriguing and a good value for my listener. I'm going to look at each of these main talking points. Okay, do I agree with those? Yep, great. So then I'll do the same thing I did in the intro. I'll tweak each of these things. So once I have finished editing this, I'll copy and paste my edited version inside my podcast host. Because guess what? Then my show notes are done. You still with me? Okay. Yes, Headline Studio. Is Headline Studio free? There might be a free level. I pay for it. It's like $80 for a whole year. And I can't even remember how many different headlines I get for that because I've never gone over it. But what I showed you in Headline Studio is not free. It's like $80 for an entire year. And if you're looking at it and it's not $80 right now, if you sign up for their list, they're going to send you a discount coupon 5 minutes later. I'm from Jersey. We don't pay full retail. So that is a quick and dirty way of coming up with my show notes for inside my episode. This is incredible. I have so much to learn. I'm a complete beginner. So Tamara, thank you for saying that. What I'm going to say is, you see, all of this was created for me in like 5 minutes. I didn't have to do the heavy lifting, right? The magic for a beginner is you don't start from zero, but you start at a better place than you would have if you had nothing, and you can continue to add stuff over time. So for the first 3 or 4 years of my podcast, I didn't do like fleshed out show notes that I'm showing you here at the bottom. This show notes format I did at the bottom is the result of me podcasting for 9 years. When I first started, I would have just used that intro portion and that would have been fine, right? Podcasting, the joy of it is as you grow, you add more stuff. So every year I might add or tweak a couple of things, but I certainly didn't feel any pressure to start off doing all of these things at the same time. Okay. So we're now at step 5 in my podcast flow. And here's where I'm going to actually put step 5 at the end. So step 6 here is to create social updates. Well, as you might have noticed before, it created some social updates for me. It created a LinkedIn post and it created a Twitter thread. Now, I have not been on Twitter that much, and I don't know that I've ever done a thread, but I could say to Magic Chat, which I'm going to in a minute, come up with 3 tweets that encourage people to listen to this episode, right? So I could do that instead. Or I could say, oh, I want to share this on Pinterest. Come up with a Pinterest description. I want to share this on Instagram. Come up with a good caption, right, for my audiogram that goes along with. So it has automatically come up with a bunch of things that I could absolutely tweak so they sounded like me and use right out of the box. But if I wanted something else that was specific, I could create that here. So my social updates are created. Remember the newsletter part? That was my episode release email that I could tweak and send to my email list, because we're all growing our email lists, right? To make us have a direct route of communicating with our podcast listeners. If you're not, there's another replay on building your email list with your podcast. And in July, it's about to be July. In about 2 weeks, Lauren Passel is coming to teach about growing your podcast through a newsletter. So you don't have to know that already, but if that's something you're thinking, hey, that might be kind of cool, we're going to bring those resources to you as well. So just pick one thing and work on that until you're comfortable, and then pick the next thing and work on that. So all of these different pieces are already done for me in essence. My transcript, my title, my episode description, my show notes, my social updates, my release email. You'll also saw down here that there's a thank you email for my guests. And then the blog post. Now, I do my blog post a little bit differently. I use ChatGPT for my blog post because I want to be able to iterate on it. I want to be able to give it some instructions and then tell it to do something a little bit different. So this is what I would legit do. So I have a Mac, and this is ChatGPT that you go to in the browser. But there's a Mac app. Yes, I have the link for you if you have a Mac. And I also have the link for ChatGPT if you've never been there. But what I will do is I'll come out here, and actually there's a plugin you can add to ChatGPT so that it will look at your website. So I actually told it, as training, provide a brief description of the content that can be found at my blog. And I gave it the URL. Crap, I'm a cracker. Yes, Donna, you're supposed to be seeing another tab. Oh, mercy. This is a wonderful test about technology and what we do when technology doesn't do what we want it to do. So I'm not going to use ChatGPT. I am going to use the browser version instead so you guys can see. How about that? Okay, 2 seconds here. Okay. Share this tab instead. Okay, so you should now be seeing ChatGPT. Thank you, Donna. So I had a plugin in my Mac GPT version that tells ChatGPT to look at a web page. So I told it to go out and look at my website and look at my blog so it would get an understanding of what type of content I produce. Okay, so here you can see I said to ChatGPT, write a description of the types of information you can learn from the blog at this address. Okay, so it then spit out some information for me that said, oh, okay, this is what your podcast is kind of about. It's not showing that right here because that's part of ChatGPT Model 4. But at any rate, I did that first. And then afterwards, I said, okay, so based on the information you just gave me, we're going to write a blog post about boom. So that's one of the other ways you use ChatGPT to make sure that it gives you information that is relevant to what you have going on. You have to prime it with information. You have to give it context. So over here at a different browser, I know you're not going to be able to see this. I'm going to grab the introduction that ChatGPT created, and I'm going to come back over here to ChatGPT, and I'm going to use ChatGPT 4 just for the giggle. And I'm going to say, I have a podcast episode. Here is the intro. And then I pasted the intro from Cast Magic. Could you please outline, could you please outline a blog post that will encourage people to listen to the episode? Okay, so it's reading my podcast episode intro. And do y'all see what's happening here? Tamara, thank you. You're very sweet. I appreciate the encouragement. I was just so kerfluffled with technology not doing what I expected it to. So ChatGPT is right now taking the intro only from the podcast episode, and it's creating a blog post. It came up with a title. Here's my intro. It's even broken down the body. It's given me 5 different things that I might dig into more, and in conclusion. It even told me, sis, and with a call to action. And then it was polite enough to remind me to link the podcast episode at the end of my blog post to make it easier for readers to find and listen. Have y'all who have been playing in ChatGPT before? I think that was Gino who said he'd played in ChatGPT and Capsho. Have you done this in ChatGPT? Have you given it instructions? Have you given it context and then asked it to do some stuff? Oh, is it Aisling? Mind blown. This is great. Thank you. You're very welcome. So I would start here with the blog post. Now I can talk to ChatGPT because here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to say, this is a good start. Can you make it more fun? Look what it's doing to the title. Hang on to your hats. Patty Handy's wild ride through finance and life. Now, ChatGPT's definition of fun and my definition of fun might be 2 different things, but it's going through and it's taking what it already created and it's funning it up. Is that a word? So it is tweaking it so that it sounds more fun. We found it hard to upload a whole transcript. Yeah, you can't because there's a limit on the amount of information you can share. So I wouldn't try to upload an entire transcript into ChatGPT. Though I saw a video there the other day that they are working on something that's supposed to be out in like the September, October timeframe, where you would be able to upload docs and they kind of save them to your ChatGPT account so that it would continue to create information using those documents as context. Not out yet, but how hot will that be? It's either the scariest or the most fabulous thing I've heard of in a while. So I start with the intro. I don't remember what the amount of information is that you can give, but a 40-minute long episode, that transcript is way too long. So I'll start with an intro or I'll start with the show notes. But the main thing is you have to give it context and then tell it what you want it to create and it will create it. So again, as opposed to starting with a blank piece of paper, I could then grab this. I could pull it into WordPress if I wanted to. I could pull it into whatever text editor I wanted to use, but I can continue to work with it here in ChatGPT. I could say, okay, let's work on paragraph 3, financial wisdom. I like that, but could you mention bankruptcy, right? I don't know. I could use anything I wanted to, and it will go into just that portion. It remembers what we did earlier in the chat. So I can continue to have like conversation with it, have it tweak things, and then pull that into something else, make it sound like me, make sure it's all polished up, and then publish it on my webpage. Kind of cool, right? So I know we've had starts and stops with technology, but it is 1:50 and we started over here at 1:15. I'll say 1:20. It's easier math. So we're 30 minutes in, and I would now be at the point where I was in my own text editor or in WordPress, tweaking this, adding my image, and getting it published. I've asked it to use humor in some things. It could be a cheese fest, but it's amazing what it can do. Yes, humor is subjective, right? So I don't usually ask it to be funny. I'll ask it to be less formal. Now, that's funny for me to say because I have a really formal speech pattern. I do. I had a Jamaican daddy. He never, in his whole life, he never used a contraction. So I know I speak really formally. But when I write, I try to speak like regular people talk because I know I don't necessarily speak like regular people, right? So sometimes when it works off of something that I've written, it sounds formal to me. And I'm like, but I know I did that. So I'll say, make it less formal or make it more encouraging. make it more enthusiastic. I was working on my about page. I said, make it more inspirational, right? So I really do give it some context, and then I play with it and I talk to it until I chat with it until it gives me inputs that I know I want to use. And then I pull those inputs into a text editor. I make it sound more like me, and then I publish them. So I'm going to show you an example if I can figure out where it is with all these I have open. So, okay, so here on my website is my blog. So I'm trying to find a recent episodes. I'm pretty sure this one I did it. So I did exactly what you saw me do right now for this episode that it's about to pull up. And this is on a staging site because I'm redesigning some stuff. Yes, I'm being a code nerd, so don't pay attention to anything that looks weird because this site isn't live. That's why I'm on staging. But I absolutely went to ChatGPT with a previous guest episode, and I used this for my intro. And then down here, I actually had it create the rest of the assets for me, just like I'm talking to you now. I said, here's my intro, come up with a blog post. So for every episode where I have a guest, after I have finished, I come down here and I add the blog post. So this post here, here's some key steps to becoming a mentor in midlife. That is not what we talked about in the episode. So this is complementary SEO optimized information that goes along with the podcast, but this is not exactly what we talked about in the podcast. So that's one of the things Deirdre from Cap Show talked about a couple weeks ago. It adds more content to your website, which increases your authority, your footprint, opportunities for Google to crawl your site and find out what you talk about. So the blog post that goes along with your podcast episode does not have to be exactly what you talked about in the podcast episode. It can be something that's complementary. So Rachel actually talked about why women should become mentors in their 40s and 50s. But the blog post is about key steps to becoming a mentor in midlife. So you can see how that's related, but not the exact same thing. So my keywords and my SEO score for this is based on this blog post. And then, oh, by the way, here's this lovely frosting that is the podcast episode. Okay. So yes, this blog post right here, ChatGPT started with, I came out here and made it sound more like me and then published it. So now the content on this page is way over that like magic 600 characters. So it's not considered thin content on my website. It's a fleshed out full blog post. I don't remember how much it is. It's probably 1,500, 1,800 words, but I didn't start from zero. And then my actual episode transcript, let's see if it's here. Okay, so then I have a separate page. Again, don't look at that weirdness because I'm working on this site. Then my transcript is actually a separate page where I actually don't have these show up in my feed. I have them in a separate category all by themselves, but it just comes up with the transcript. And then this is literally the transcript that you saw in Cast Magic. I cut and pasted it. I didn't do anything to it. I took it from Cast Magic. I know I said I didn't copy and paste exactly. This is the small exception. I didn't mean to lie when I said that, but I cut and pasted my transcript from Cast Magic into this post. It highlighted or it bolded my name versus Rachel's name. So yeah, I cut and pasted it in here. The styling it's picking up is from my blog post. So this is legit my absolute transcript. I didn't do anything to this. But now the transcript is out there getting whatever podcast SEO transcripts generate. And I linked to this from my actual episode. So they're all working together. So I actually have created like 4 or 5 pieces of content that are out there on the web, driving people to my podcast episode from that one podcast episode. Oh, they are good prompts. I thank it and say good morning every time. Yeah, I didn't used to be so polite to it, but I have a friend who's just killing it with ChatGPT who actually told me, I like watched her actually have a conversation with it. And I was like, oh, I can like ask it to tweak things and like encourage it and ask it to do all this stuff. And she's like, absolutely. So we have about 5 minutes left. Tell me if you have questions. Throw them at me. Hit me with them. And I'm going to go back over here to StreamYard. And I think give you here in chat. See, I'm trying to see your notes over here. So we have about 5 minutes left. Let me know if you have other questions. So do you have questions about any of the process? Do you have questions about any of the tools? What is the best word count for SEO for show notes? I'd say a minimum of 600 words. I have a plugin. Oh, I don't have this on my tools list. How about I'll add that? So everybody knows Yoast SEO. I use a plugin called Rank Math, and there's a free version and a pro version. The free version is amazing. And I would get Rank Math because it's very much like Headline Studio in that if it wants you to make changes, it tells you in real English what the changes are that you should make. So when I create a blog post in Rank Math, if I'm getting ready to go publish it or I'm just checking on my Rank Math score, it will say, hey, your podcast, your blog post is 500 words. It'd be good if you could goose that up to 600, right? So then I'll work on it until I'm at 600. Because what I do is I don't try to make everything 100. I don't try to make it perfect. I just try to get it into the green. Digital Skills AU. Hey, so the main tools are Cast Magic, Headline Studio. Okay, so let's go through tools. Headline Studio. That's what I worked with for my headline specifically. That's about $80 for a whole year. Cast Magic. I got it off AppSumo, so it was a one-time deal. And I want to say it was $39 for a lifetime. The lifetime deal may be over now. So if I just went to regular Cast Magic, let me go out to Cast Magic right now and see what their prices are. I didn't look that part up, so thank you for the question. Okay, so it looks like they have prices ranging from $39 a month to $299 a month. So yes, 200 minutes per month. So they don't do it by episode. So like Capshow, you get 4 episodes a month for $100. On Cast Magic, for instance, you'd get 500 minutes for that same $100 a month. So if your episodes are short, you get way more episodes than 4 if you were using Cast Magic. So let's see what else. Cast Magic, ChatGPT is free. Rank Math is free. Let's see. Did I mention another tool? Let me come back over here. Let's see. Where was that? Now I've lost my window with, okay, here we go. I have too many browsers open. Okay, ChatGPT. So yes, I'm going to pop all the links. I'm going to cut and paste that into the event inside the Indie Pod community for Cast Magic, Headline Studio, ChatGPT. I'll include a link for Rank Pro. But yes, Rank Pro is free. ChatGPT is free. So the only 2 that had a cost attached were Headline Studio. Now, I will say this. You can use Headline Studio for free. But if you have the paid version of Headline Studio, then you can go deeper and you can look at the SEO score versus the headline score. But if you go to coschedule.com/headline analyzer, they do have a version of the tool that is free that you can use. But I like to be able to come back and look at the history and look at other headlines that I have examined or other versions of that. Because sometimes I'll work on an episode and I don't publish it right away. So when I come back to it, I want to be able to see what the history was. So if you have a paid plan, you can do that. And I don't think you can do that with the free version of Headline Studio. Okay, what level of Cast Magic do you use? So yes, I think I use Rank Math. So Pauline, what was that? Mast? What did I say? Pauline, tell me again. Oh, Mac GPT. So yes, Mac as in, Mac computer, MAC GPT. I'll give you a link to that as well if you have a Mac because it's free. The guy who created it, Jordan Bruin, he's magical. He has a couple other apps that do like transcripts and such. I'm not in love with that one, but you can give him a donation. It's just a Gumroad link for the app, but you can give him a donation or you can get it for free. Completely up to you. He has a lot of other tools besides these 2. But yeah, Mac GPT. I just use that because then I don't have to always go to the browser and log in. I can just open the app and get to work. The Apple Chat GPT. What's AppSumo? AppSumo.com is a website that sells software, but you buy it for a one-time fee instead of a monthly subscription. In fact, do you guys want me to pop links in here right now instead of posting them in the group? How about that? Because this will help. So let's see. This is the link for Rank Math, RANKMATH. So Rank Math. Thank you, Pauline, for pointing out what it was that was giving you pause. It is Rank Math, and you can get it right from the WordPress plugin directory. I don't want to mess around with trying to log into chat now, which I'm not logged into yet because we signed into StreamYard in the middle. So I don't want to monkey with anything right now. The technology gods have not smiled on me yet today, but I promise as soon as we end here in the next couple minutes, I'm going to go log in over there on Circle, and I will post the links to all of these tools that we mentioned. So if you have other questions, I have a little more time, go ahead and throw them out. Otherwise, if you have questions, you can always come back and ask them in the event in the group. You guys know I'm here all the time, so I'll be happy to answer. Actually, I'm not here all the time because next week's a holiday. So don't post questions on Independence Day because here in America, I'll be eating hot dogs, hot dogs, coleslaw, and potato salad. Thank you, Donna. I think you're amazing. So if you have other questions, go ahead and throw them out. I'll stay here until you guys tell me that you want me to go away. Actually left you a note in the little chat because I ran over the characters a lot here. Oh, okay. Well, I'll go check that in just a moment. Please include. Okay, headline analyzer. Thank you, Tamara. I will be sure to include that as well. The headline analyzer link. I will do that for you. Please. Oh no, that was Yvette. Please and thank you. You're welcome, Yvette. This was great. Thank you. Oh, thank you. You are very welcome. I hope it was helpful. If you have other questions as you're working through, now I'm just going to tell you, I'm not saying my podcast workflow is the most amazing workflow ever, but I will say that this has enabled me. I was not doing transcript pages. I was not doing full blog posts. I wasn't doing any of that stuff. I wasn't doing any of that stuff. I was that person. In fact, I did a challenge back in November to do a podcast every day for a month. And there are still some of those posts that I haven't posted yet because I fall behind and I don't do great promotion, but I'm better than I was because of my new workflow. So this is one way of doing it. There are other ways that you guys prefer. By all means, do that, but do something to help people find your amazing content. This flow was phenomenal. Okay, Yvette, you just need to come work with me all day long because you are gassing me up in a way that works for me. Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you very much. I am not mad about it. This flow was phenomenal. Okay. Let me peek. Let's see. Do I have Circle still open over here? Let me see if I can peek at Tamara's question while we're still talking here. I have so many different things open. Let's see. Ran over character here. I have found your website. Is that the one? Okay, so I'm going to look at that after because it looks more complicated. I don't know if you wanted me to read it out loud. Let's see. So can someone tell me the YouTube channel to see if I can see the screen there? Okay, Aileen, you found us. Yeah, I haven't looked over here in Circle in a while. Tamara, absolutely reach out and hook up. I love podcasting. Okay, so Tamara did say she did about 3 podcast episodes and then abandoned it because she felt like she didn't know what she was doing. A lot of us had that experience. Just keep trying. Just keep trying. I remember once during the pandemic, I didn't podcast for a whole year and my audience downloaded episodes twice as much as they'd been doing before. And I was like, that's not a lesson. That's not a message you want to send me, that you will thrive on neglect. So just keep trying. You have a story to tell and you have an inclination to tell it for a reason. Everybody doesn't have the urge to do a podcast. So I just want to encourage you to keep trying until you find the flow that works for you. Okay. I'll be tuning in for more of your fabulous sisters. Thank you. I am like so wired for sound right now. Hey, don't replace me, Yvette. I'm her hype woman. Okay. That is hysterical. I'm along for the ride. I was lost. Okay. Any other questions? I just want to make sure I don't miss anything, y'all, because it was so a little bit complicated with technology. But if you have a hot question right now, let me know. But I am going to pop back in there and give you links to all the stuff. And then, like, for real, this is what I'm using. So if you have questions about it, just ask, because every week I'm doing this exact same thing with my podcast. So I'm legit going to take the stuff that we just created and go put Patty Handy's episode up today. Since I usually publish on Tuesday, but I knew we were doing this today. So it's going to be a day late, but that's all right. I'm still going to publish it and send my thank you note to my guests and all that good stuff. I feel so adult when I'm podcasting with this new workflow. So this AppSumo, what's the catch? So Gino, AppSumo, let me do a little commercial for them. They will go out and have a conversation with a software company, and the software company is exclusive to AppSumo for whatever period of time this promotion is going on. And it's usually an earlier SaaS, so it's not something like Zoom has never been on there, right? But they had on something called AirMeet, which we have actually used for our independent podcaster summits. It's an amazing program that lets you have breakout rooms and do networking and all sorts of stuff. Well, that was actually, when it was first launching, available on AppSumo. So I have a tool called FeedHive, which enables you to schedule your podcast information to a lot of different places. So let's say I paid $49 for it on AppSumo. I never have to pay for it again, and I can use that tool as long as that tool exists, right? So they have all sorts of different categories of software, and you can go over there and lose your mind and buy stuff that you don't really need. But if there's something that you have a legitimate need for and they have a tool there that you like, it's a great way of buying software that you don't then have to pay every month for. Because I told you, I'm from Jersey and I don't like paying full retail. So I'm always looking for some sort of deal, and AppSumo provides those. So you won't find everything there, but some of the things that you do find, like I found something on there before called Missing Letter, which I also use in my flow because it used to pull out different things that I could share from my podcast before ChatGPT kind of popped up. I hosted the Menopause Morph podcast for 3 years, but have had a 4-year break. That's all right. Pauline, I want to go find it. Is it still being hosted somewhere? Because I have a guest. Gosh, did I publish that one yet? I can't remember if I published it already, but she actually was on there talking about perimenopause. I can't remember. I can see her face. I don't remember if we've published it yet, but yeah, check that out. Oh, I can, because we talked about it. What's so funny about it and the power of it. Because I think it might have been Rachel. It might have been this one where we're talking about mentorship in your 40s and 50s. Now that I think about it, because she's like, "Oh, menopause can be really powerful," and I was like, "Well, I'm not there yet, but I'm dreading it. So school me. What's powerful about it?" I'm going to go get my kids ready for bed. Oh my goodness, you're in Ireland. Thanks for coming. I don't know how to pronounce your name. Is it Ailing? Eiling? You know, our company is headquartered in Ireland, and the guys I was talking to early blew me off right at 5:00 their time. So thank you. They didn't really blow me off. Our meeting was over, but thank you for staying up with us. Get your kids to bed. Tech is so different now. Learned a lot. Hope to restart my podcast soon. Would you recommend I call it Menopause Morph 2.0, or has there's been such a long break? So here's my thought on that. Is your RSS feed still live? Because if your RSS feed is still live, I would simply continue. Oh, Ashling. Oh, that's beautiful. If your podcast feed has been live this whole time and you just haven't published new episodes, I would use that exact same feed. You know why? Because everybody who was following you before, when you publish new episodes, they're all going to be notified that there are new episodes. So in essence, you don't lose the audience that was already there. So if you're talking about the same thing and it makes sense to stick with that, I would absolutely just start publishing new episodes. So I think I said, yeah, I had a break during COVID. I lost a lot of family members before COVID, in COVID. Yeah, I just didn't have a lot of and my show is like aspirational, and we talk about confidence and encouragement. And I wasn't feeling very encouraging, and I didn't want to spew what I was feeling on my audience. So I just didn't publish. And then I came back and started publishing, and it was all good. I didn't lose any listeners because I kept the same feed. I even changed my name several years back, but I kept the same feed, and then I didn't lose any listeners, so I didn't lose momentum. So you can change the name if you like, but I definitely wouldn't create a whole new podcast and get a new feed. If your old feed exists, use it. I'm still FOMO. Really interesting. Where in Ireland? Oh, Lord, where are they, Donna? I'd have to look. Oh, no. Oh, my goodness. They're not in Ireland. They're in Scotland. Sorry. I know there's a very big difference. They're not in Ireland. They're in Scotland. Sorry. Oh, Menopause Morph is hosted on Kajabi. Oh, okay. I remember when Kajabi rolled out Do they have RSS feeds now? Because they didn't when they first pushed it out. Yes, Edinburgh, Scotland. You know, most Americans don't know a lot about other countries, right? So the fact that I said Ireland when it's Scotland, if Colin was here, he would just, when I first started working with them, I would say Ireland all the time. And I was like, aren't they kind of the same? And the look he gave me, I didn't make that mistake the next day, but I have probably done it again since then. Menopause Morphs on Kajabi. Okay, well, if you have a RSS feed through Kajabi, yes, sis, I would just, that's my opinion. You can ask in the group if you want other thoughts on that, but yeah, I would just start publishing on that same feed because it's like built-in audience. And then for new people who find the show, then they'll go back and listen to older episodes as well. So yes, that old content that's out there, if it's evergreen content, and I'm thinking people go into menopause all the time, right? So that's evergreen content. Yes, I would take advantage of that. Just start publishing some new stuff. You understand? Yeah, in America, we act like there aren't other places, just like we don't speak other languages. I used to date this guy who was from France, and he spoke like 8 languages. And I was like, why? He's like, because that's what we do. Why do you only speak 1? I was like, because that's what we do. We act like it's a big deal if you live in different parts of the country. Like, do you speak Southern English or do you speak Northeastern English? Even though it's all English. Used to host on Libsyn. Oh, so if you used to host on Libsyn and you moved it to Kajabi, okay, so I am techy enough to know that it's not the same feed. So if you didn't 301 redirect, which I know is a little nerdy, but if you didn't specifically forward your Libsyn feed to Kajabi, then so that all the podcast players, etc., would understand. So a 301 redirect acts like a change of address. So if you didn't file a change of address for your old feed at Libsyn, then that link may have been broken and you may be starting again. Cool. Hope that wasn't too nerdy. But yeah, think of it like a change of address when you move podcast hosts. You need to do a change of address at the old host so all your neighbors will know that the party has moved to the new host. Cool. Okay, well, we're coming up on 1/4 It doesn't look like more questions are coming in, but I'm around if there are some. I'm going to make sure I check all the different places. So if there were questions that I missed, charge it to my head and not my heart. I'm not trying to miss it, and I will answer it in the event. Let us know what other Watch Me Works. Talk nerdy to me. Okay, you're on punishment. Let us know what other Watch Me Works you'd like. I think the one we did before this was on Audiograms, and before that we did an ad on Instagram. So yes, let us know what other Watch Me Works you would like us to bring forth. Bye, Ashling. Let us know what other Watch Me Works you would like, and we will do our best to bring the content and experts you need. Okay? So I am going to end the broadcast. You don't have to go home, but you have to go out of here. Thank you, everybody, for attending. We will see you soon in the community.